period.
No kidding. Incredible.
2006.
Can I see that picture?
Yeah.
The Armenian Genocide of 1915 was a cataclysmic episode in history that not only distorted the destiny of an entire nation, but forced the exile of the Armenian people from its historic homeland, in the process tearing apart families and legacies. Stories and narratives remain buried beneath the ruins of a civilization that was obliterated by Ottoman Turkey and upon which the modern Turkish Republic was founded. The enormity of that event, which shaped and tormented a collective Armenian consciousness for a century, continues to reveal incredible stories.
These are letters. This is letters from the children she had in her own.
Jussi Flemming Bioern is the bearer of one of those stories. The grandson of Norwegian missionary Bodil Biorn, Jussi visited our office to talk about his paternal grandmother, a woman who came to be called Mother by the Armenian orphans under her care. What we discovered left us speechless and wanting to know more. Join us on this incredible journey of faith, love, and dedication. What is your first memory of your grandmother's story and her connection to Armenia?
The first memory was when I was maybe 6 years old, as I can recall. And she was comparing my behavior with the small Armenian boys she cared for, and used them as example when I did something wrong and when I did something good. That's the first memory I have.
How long did she live? How old were you when she passed?
I was 15.
You were 15, so you have good memories.
Very good memories, very good memories.
And did she sit down with you and tell you the story, or did it come in bits and pieces?
I spent a lot of time in her room because we lived together in the same flat. She had her own room. I was allowed to visit her whenever I could, except in prayer time, because she prayed during the day. Strict hours she prayed, and then I had to go out. This was her private, because she was very, as we say in Norway, religious, but she had a strong faith, and so she kept this praying times, and she had a small, she kneeled when she prayed. She kneeled when she prayed. But anyway, we had we spent good time together, and we walked together. We went to church together.
It's amazing. In the early 20th century, a young woman decides to go to the Ottoman Empire to help a nation that's being massacred. It's just incredible.
Yeah, from a rich family.
From a rich family.
Very rich family. You know, the house she lived in had 41 rooms.
41 rooms.
1,200 square meter mansion. Today, this is the city hall of Kragero.
So your family home, your ancestral home, is now
the city hall in Kragero, city of Kragero. Yeah.
Incredible story.
Yeah, incredible. It was in 1903 or 4. There was a huge meeting in Oslo, and Bodil was there, and well, she was decided then, this is my life. I like to use my life to helping these people.
And what did her family think? Her parents, coming from a wealthy, affluent family, she didn't need to put her life in risk.
No, I think her mother would have liked it. Her mother had died just before, some years before. She was very connected to her mother. And I think because of that, she felt she could leave out of Norway.
So this particular diary?
That's her first diary when she leave Norway on the 26th.
I'm going to be careful, over 100 years old.
Yeah, actually I had it repaired in
Yeah,
Damascus.
in Damascus, in
Yes,
Syria.
yeah.
So here, the first entry is August 26, 1905.
Yeah. She leaves Norway by boat to Denmark.
Okay.
And she wrote about all this.
The whole experience.
All experience, her first, touch and contact with the Armenians. She go to Germany, join a German mission, because the Norwegian, they didn't have money to support her. But her family, her mother was German from Berlin, and she had connection there. And she joined a German mission, Hilfsverbund, Christliches Hilfsverbund, and they supported her in the first time. But
How old was she in 1905? How old was
she? Was 34.
And was she married?
No,
She
was
wasn't
never.
married.
No, she was never married.
And so there's more of these.
Yeah, there's more of these. I have other books here. This I recently found. This is very interesting, because if you read the dates here, November 1915. She was in Mush when they shelled the Armenian quarters in July, and they were forced to fly out of the city. And she went back. She was there with the Swedish missionary, and they decide she will go to Istanbul, Constantinople.
Bodil,
No,
the Swedish
the
missionary.
Swedish missionary, Alma Johansson.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And Bodil, she wanted to go back
To Mush.
and try to find the survivors.
Okay, she was always stationed in Mush, or did she move
No,
around?
the 2 first years she was in Mezereh. But
Mezereh?
yeah, then she asked to go to Mush. She wanted
To go to, and she was working. She was working in an orphanage, or she was working with women and children. This missionary station had a dispensary. It has a school for girls and boys, and it was an orphanage as well. She was named by Alma Johansson, the commandant. Commandant?
She liked to be in charge.
Okay.
Yeah. So the German missionaries left,
Right.
and she became head of the mission, extended the dispensary to a clinic, had 10 beds, and she worked like a doctor there as well.
And how many years did she spend? I mean, when was she?
She came there in 1907 to Mush, and she was there till 1915.
Till 1915.
Yes. Yeah.
And in those years that she spent there, she witnessed.
Everything, both the sad things and the more joyful things. She write about this also.
It was a pioneer work, what I started there. Never had I seen so many poor ill ones as in Mush and the surrounding villages. A lot of people came when the dispensary opened, both Christians and Muslims, because they had heard that this doctor could cure all sorts of disease. And I have to say, I have never felt as small as I did among all these sick people.
In 1915, she was forced out of
Mush.
of course, and she went back for these 3 months, and then the Russian advanced, so they fled again because there would be shelling and fighting, and she went to Istanbul, and was there till 1917.
And what was she doing there? She
worked in caring of the Armenians.
Again
in Istanbul. Because in Istanbul it was safe, of course.
Right, but in 1915, when she's forced to leave Mush, I mean, because of the deportations and the attacks, so she actually left with the Armenians.
She left with a couple of teachers and some of the older girls from the girls' school, the rest was burnt alive. Before
And
her
she
eyes.
writes about it.
Yeah, and she writes about it.
In Mush, they started around July 1915. There had been disturbances for a longer period of time. The Turkish treated the Armenians very poorly and tried to taunt them in any way they could. One could sense something was coming. A storm was brewing. The next morning, the cannons started to boom, and we could see from the windows how the projectiles struck down and ruined the Armenian houses just outside. Bloody fights broke out and many tried to escape. The heat and the smell from the burning houses and all the people who were burned to death were almost unbearable.
So the children were what? They were placed in a
They
building?
were locked into houses and barns, and they torched the houses.
And she witnessed that?
And she witnessed that. She witnessed that. And she writes about it. But I think that's why she went mad, you know? This is
Yeah, because you will go mad.
Yeah, you would go mad. So, but she always wrote.
So she was able, it was cathartic for her to write about it.
Yeah, and this faith she had in God, of course. Yeah. This also helps.
We saw how women and children were taken away, their despair, fear and pain. Saw how the Turkish soldiers were shooting at these heartbroken, defenseless people. During the night, a few bullets shot into the wall in the room where I lay sick. One night I was put on the floor and dragged from one part of the room to another, as the others were afraid I would be shot if I stayed in the bed. I had no fear at all, but felt that it wouldn't matter if I got shot.
So then she goes to Istanbul. She stays there till 1917.
Yeah. But it's still war going on.
Of course.
But her father, she had a message. Her father was ill. He was old. And she wanted to go home. She was tired. And at that time, she brought my father.
That's your dad?
That's my dad. This is a copy of the passport photo. And she comes home with him and claims this is my adopted son. The story is that somebody brought her this 1.5-year-old boy.
Your father was an Armenian orphan.
Yeah.
That Bodil adopted.
Yes. But strangely, Armenian bishop at that time and the Norwegian consul, they signed a paper allowing her to take this boy out of Turkey. So
a 1.5-year-old Armenian orphan boy is your dad?
Yeah. Blue eyes. He had blue eyes.
What an incredible story.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
So she takes your dad, and what does she name him? What was your father's name? Fridtjof.
Yeah.
And she goes back to Norway.
Yeah. His name was Rafael Safarian.
And he always knew that he was adopted and Armenian his history. And did he speak Armenian?
No.
No.
He spoke Arabic.
Why?
Because he was sent to school in the Middle East.
By Bodil.
By Bodil.
Why?
She went to when she went to work in Aleppo.
Okay, so 1917, she adopts your father, Rafael Safarian, who becomes Friedrich.
Yeah.
They go back to Norway.
Yeah.
And then she sends him to school.
In Norway, he was in care in other families.
Okay.
Because Bodil was running around giving lectures, interviews in different cities, raising money.
For the Armenians?
Yes, because she wanted to go back to and start an orphanage, with Norwegian money.
Where the Armenians ended up in Aleppo, or?
Yeah, no. She first went to Gyumri.
To Gyumri,
Alexandrapol, and opened a Norwegian orphanage there in 1921.
And how long did she stay there?
Till 1924, when the Bolsheviks kicked her out. No missionary.
Her story is the story of the Armenian people in the last century, isn't it?
Yeah. And they transferred the children she had in Alexandrapol to the American orphanage.
Okay.
And she had to leave. I have the letters.
Okay, so she's forced to leave Alexandrapol in 1924, and then?
She went to Beirut, and waiting in Beirut, she waiting for an opportunity to go back to Turkey, but she couldn't.
She could never go.
No, not possible. Then she decided to go to Aleppo. She knew there was a lot of Armenians there.
Okay, so she goes to Aleppo.
Yeah, open a new orphanage.
With the Norwegian money again?
With Norwegian money. And start school again, start a clinic, daycare, day clinic.
And how long did she stay there?
Till 1934. Another 9 years, you know.
And again, she has notes, diaries, she's kept...
Yeah, she kept diaries. And now I have books. This is from this time. You can have a look here. Here she writes the stories of the children she cared for in the orphanage. They have she give them numbers. Yeah.
Oh, and there's photos.
Yeah, a lot of photos.
And that's her there with the children.
Yes. And at this time, she bring my father, but not to live with she.
Okay.
But he's in border schools.
In Aleppo?
No, not in Aleppo. In Palestine and in Beirut.
While she's in Aleppo with the orphans.
Yeah, but he visit in the vacations. He visit. She go out into the camps and pick the ones who really need care.
And then she would bring them.
And then she bring them back. In this case, she can care for more people.
Khatun Purudyan.
This one.
So Khatun Purudyan in 1946 writes, "My dearest mother," this is to Bodil.
Yes.
"It is a long time that I am separated from you, but I cannot forget the past days which I spent in your house and which reminds me of your face and the 2 years I spent with you." And then she writes, "I want some information about your life and I will give you some in my next letter. I remain your loving daughter, Khatun Purudyan."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's it.
Okay, so after your grandmother died, you went on with your life and you decided to follow in her footsteps.
Yes.
So you took the journey that she took?
Yeah.
And
I took the same journey. I used the first this book.
This one here?
Yeah, because this.
So you followed everywhere she went, like to Mush and Mezereh and
all the places. And I stopped in the cities. She stopped. I took I took the boat to Denmark, like she.
Exactly the same way.
Yeah, and entered a train to Istanbul. All through, and stopped in different places, different cities, and ended up in Istanbul. And later I crossed by bus Turkey, went into Syria, and then to...
What year was this?
2004.
Okay, so before the war in Syria.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like for you?
No, it was a life experience. It was really... I was living actually
her life.
Yeah, through this journey and her diaries and books, meeting people, and this gave me the idea to make the film. This is yeah.
This is it. That's the look. It looks old.
Yeah, that's the stones in here. Okay, that's the remains. This is a copy of her field map.
The actual field map that she used, right?
Yeah. And here is she went by boat to first here to Alexandrapol, it was called. This map is...
How old?
No, this is from the 20s, I think. So this is her journey back.
This is the markings here.
Yeah, where she went by boat. There is another one here. And here she writes...
what has she written? Can you read it? It's
500,000 Armenians died here in this area.
Derzor.
Derzor, yeah. And here is 150,000, she writes here. Different small notes she had. And
so you used this map,
as
your compass, really?
Yeah,
and you traveled to all the places she did?
The original one is paper glued on canvas. So I made this all on canvas, so not to destroy the...
right, but you've used it so many times already.
Yeah. It is like this.
You also went to Aleppo. Is the building, I mean the orphanage that she founded there, is the building still
it's a computer school today.
It's a computer school.
Yeah, Giray Reisyan took me there.
Okay.
I have a lot of, experience to meet people who actually had connection
to her.
Yeah. And also when I was in Mush filming, we met a man. His grandfather had been a patient in Bodil's, and he told me that. When I told the story, he knew about the story. His grandfather had told him about the Norwegian.
She didn't discriminate the people, she just helped everyone without money. That's what he said.
He said that?
Yes, he said that, exactly he said that.
You made me a very happy man.
Çok mutlu oldum diyor.
Biz de mutlu oluyoruz.
We are also happy.
And also when I visit Gyumri, we met an elderly man. He was 94. His name was Ludwig. He also recalled Bodil.
He says she left on 1924.
Yeah? Yeah, that's right. I haven't told him that Bodil was expelled in 1924, but he knew that.
He knew that?
He knew that, he just told us. So his memory is working. Let's go. I don't think we can come any further, but we are in the right spot. We are in the right spot.
So she leaves Aleppo in 1934.
Yeah.
Lives the rest of her life in Norway?
Yeah. She continued traveling around and giving newspaper interviews. At that time, they knew about Armenia and what had happened.
Yeah, but then something happened and everybody forgot.
Everybody forgot. Nobody interested anymore in this story. And but now, slowly, and they start.
Starting again.
Yeah, it's starting again.
It's the centenary, the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, and it's particularly, I don't know what word to use, interesting, conflicting. 100 years is a long time. And it isn't at the same time. Those wounds and the memories are still fresh. It's through, I'm third generation and I still live with it, and this year has been particularly hard. What does it mean? I mean, we're seeing a lot of international attention now on the genocide, but 100 years, what are your feelings, knowing your legacy, your family history?
No, I don't feel like sad, but I'm crushed. This is unfair, really unfair. The Armenians should, as I've told before, claim back their property. Just
if you look at the map,
name the buildings in Istanbul, who was formerly owned by Armenians. Like the Jews do, in Europe, they get back their what was stolen.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's exactly the same.
Yes, it's not only the lives that were lost, it was the property, the
Yeah,
wealth,
and
the buildings, the schools, the factories,
and
culture.
and why should they get away with it? You know, everybody knows, even in Norway, they know, the politicians know this is genocide. And I don't understand why they are afraid of Turkey. They're not afraid of China. They gave this peace prize to this dissident in China, and China stopped all connection with Norway. No more Norwegian salmon to China. And then to Russia. They're not afraid of Putin either.
But they're afraid of Turkey.
But why are they afraid of Turkey? I cannot understand it. I cannot understand it.
So now you've been coming and going to Armenia. You have an apartment here.
Yeah.
You are half Armenian.
Yes.
Bodil is your grandmother, this incredible woman who saved probably thousands of Armenian lives, whom the Armenians called mother.
Yes.
For her dedication, who followed the Armenians from their ancestral homeland, you know, to Istanbul, to Gyumri, to Aleppo. What is? I'm trying to understand what happens inside of you when you're here.
No, you know, I like to be here. I want to be here. I want to spend some of my life here. I feel comfortable. I feel at home. My mother is from Finland. So I had this was my identity before.
Sure, Finnish.
Finnish, Norwegian. But when I started to trace my grandmother's work and her work in her footsteps, I slowly changed. I understand I'm half Armenian. I'm half Armenian, half Finnish, but also Norwegian. But anyway, I have great friends here. So I just like to be here. I feel comfortable. And that's why I decided to buy this apartment.
In Yerevan?
Yes. And before that, I rented places, but it wasn't home.
And now you're home?
Now I have home.
And your dad, your father, did he ever come to Armenia? Soviet
No,
Armenia?
he sadly he died quite young, 62. And this was in 1978. And no, he never came to Armenia. It was a closed country for us.
Sure.
Was. And but he never had a home in Armenia. So
well, his son does.
yeah, I have.
And thanks to Bodil.
Yeah, thanks to Bodil. I have.